and happy new trading week to you. I've got no idea why that cuts my sound off, but it does. And I have to change it every time. And I forget most days, but today we're slightly on top of it. Let me put it that way. Hopefully that sound has fixed itself, Gary. Yes, indeed. Hope you had a wonderful weekend, everyone. And those of you who survived the week last week, let's hope we can kick some more goals as the week goes on. We had a poor start last week, but finished with a bit of a flurry. With one exception, but my error. You guys shouldn't have suffered the same fate as I did. I'll get into that a little bit later. It was all about silver. Now, we best go to the pound trade, and I'll set that up firstly. The breakout trade, which did very well last Thursday. Got no idea how it went on Friday. Looks like it would have gone okay on Friday as well. Not sure about that because I don't know where all that got mixed up. I don't think I'll bother having a look. Anyway, we're now stopped out of the Thursday trade at, what was it, 140.20? 140.20, which was 152 pips above our entry and on a risk of 30 pips. So that one worked out quite well and made up for a couple of false starts, let's say, that we had last week. A few break evens, and I'm not sure how many losses. Sorry, we have to update the journal. Yes, I know. Today, what have we got? We've got a big bearish bar coming in the last, 56 minutes or so, 57 minutes or so. That will be our entry short. This will be our entry long. And we'll go through that now. I've got to get rid of that red line. Okay. Let's start with the entry long, because that won't change. It will be at 140.24. 1.4024. The stop loss will be won't be that far away from there actually. So below the bar, 1.4013 that will be. So 11 pips of stop loss, which means our first take profit will be 5. Which will come out at 140.29. That will be our first take profit level. Second take profit level, which will be double our risk. Risk, as I said, was 11 pips, so it'll be 22 pips our second take profit. So it'll be 140.26. That would, no, that's not right. 140.46, sorry. 14046. And that will be the buy, providing, of course, we don't get above it in the next minute or so, minute and 4 seconds. The sell order, we'll put it in, but it may change. 139.79 will be the entry. 3979, and stop loss will be 1.4014. That doesn't make any sense. Let me check that. 1.4014 is correct. Okay, the stop loss is there. Yes, okay. I just saw 1.4013. Hang on, that can't be right. 1.4014 is correct for the stop loss for the long. So entry and stop loss. Why didn't it do that? 1.4. There we go. So TP1 on the short, we've got 21 plus 14, 35 pips, so 17 pips below. It's going to be 1.3962 will be TP1. 3962. And the TP2, sorry, what did I say, 21, 35, 70 pips will be 1.3909. There we go. So there's the order for today. Let's put that into the market. Sell first. And again, if you're joining for the first time, this is a test strategy, not a proven one. So therefore, if you are looking to trade this, please micro lots, guys. This is not something that you need to get cheeky with, because it is very unproven at this point in terms of the way we manage it. Stop loss for the short is 1.4014. Oops. That's right. So the sell order is in place. The buy order is 1.4024. And the stop loss for that is 1.4013. Okay, we're good to go. So you're not seeing double there. It is stop loss for the long and also stop loss for the short, very much in the same place. 1 pip separates them actually. All right, so we'll leave that one for now. And no, we won't. We'll put in the TP1 and TP2 levels. That's what we'll do. TP1, 1.4029, which is about there-ish. A little bit above it, actually. God, that's hard to read, isn't it? Whew. That's TP1. TP2, 1.4046, which is right there. Okay, for the short, TP1 is 1.3962. It should be about there somewhere. And TP2, 1.3909. Close enough to there. 1.3909. All right, our work is done for the moment, at least. You're welcome. Righto, let's move on, shall we? G'day, Lewis. How you doing, buddy? G'day, Paul P. Hi, SF. Hope you're all well. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Hi, Angel. Hope you had a wonderful weekend as well. Now, I've given you the update on the pound breakout from Thursday, where we were taken out here. For those of you who don't understand that, once we get into a, what do you call those things? Rally? Yeah. Once we get into the trade and we get through our take profit 2, we then trail our stop loss every 2 buyer bars. So here it would have been stop loss up here, stop loss up to here, 2 buyer bars, 2 more buyer bars we're looking for. No. 2 buyer bars there together, stop loss moves up to there. Next 2 buyer bars together, stop loss moves to there. Next 2 buyer bars together, stop loss moves to there. And that's as good as we got. But gee whiz, it was almost all the moves, so that's pretty cool. Nothing more to do there on the pound. Updating a few positions that we took last week. CAD Swiss, we were looking for a short there. And I don't know what happened, to be honest. It shot through. That's what happened. And we obviously didn't get the lower high that we were looking for. It just smashed through the level and went on with the job. So we cancelled that order. I have cancelled that order. That can go. We did dollar Sing. Was that last week? Yes, it was. We traded dollar Sing short last week, got a TP1, and then got taken out with our trailing stop for a break-even trade. EuroCAD, we are well in profit, but we haven't reached, I don't think we've reached, no, 52.93. No, that's not right. What's the low of that bar? 52.62. So no, well, there's our level there. We haven't got a TP1 on that yet. Nothing to do here, just keep going. Hopefully that will hit our TP1 at some stage. Pound we know about. Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar keeps powering on. Do we need to move our stop loss, guys? I think probably you could bank some money here. The monthly pivot's untested, so if it's going to be tested, it's going to take our stop loss anyway. But the daily and weekly pivot have snuck up here. I think we can bank a bit more on this. So if we get our level, maybe bank another 85 pips. So let's go to 77.95 with our stop loss on Aussie dollar. 77.95. Okay, that one looks to make sense to me. Aussie Kiwi. Free trading, but not much happening, I'd have to say. So nothing to do here. We'll just keep our stop loss where it is. It is nicely tucked under the weekly pivot and the daily pivot anyway. Let's get rid of these lines so you can actually see something. So I'll be looking for that to take out this high sometime this week. Now, here's the thing with silver, guys. I did not take my first profit because two reasons. One, I wasn't trading on the EA, and two, I didn't have the charts open. So when we hit the monthly pivot, which was the obvious, and I haven't got it printed up here, so I don't know if I actually vocalized this to you guys, but it's very, very clear. And you know, I would not trade through the untested monthly pivot without taking profit, but I have. My error, as I said, I hope you guys haven't done that. And if you had followed the rules, you would be out of this trade now with a break-even result. As I said, I'm not, so I'm in an unenviable position of having gone through TP1, not taking it, and now in fairly substantial drawdown. So this will probably be the last time I ever trade silver. Because I just can't get it right. So I don't know how to do it. And my lot size was ridiculous. I'm astounded by how that works. But anyway.
Oh, mate, do you know what? It's really frustrating, actually. I make you right on silver because silver is, what, $27 an ounce and gold is at $1,800 an ounce. And yet when you trade it, it's more expensive.
Yeah. It could be an expensive exercise, this one, I can tell you.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can do. It's either cut my losses by, what, 1/3 or something, or ride this out. Where are we? Here. So they're 70 or 79.2, whatever that is. I don't know what that means. To 1,200. 790 to 12. Yeah, it's probably about a quarter. Isn't it? Am I 2/3 the way there? I don't even know how to work it out. It looks to be about 2/3 the way of the stop loss anyway. Yeah. There's a little bit of hope in the resistance level, but it's just a terrible place to be in. You either get out here and cut your losses, or it's a hope situation. That's all it is. And generally when it's a hope situation, I just cut my losses anyway. But I might as well ride this out because I want to see exactly how this does react here. We are at the top of the range, so there is some hope. Pound Kiwi, we're waiting on that. It's now come back to the breakout area, as you might have expected. but there's no entry there for me. I'm looking to trade that long. Aussie CAD we're not in. Dollar CAD we are in. We have taken TP1 on that. I haven't issued a TP2 because I don't think I want to do that. I think if this actually does break down, it's going to here, and I'll take profit at this level. But anything can happen with the dollar at the moment. Dollar Swissy, we were looking to trade long, but we wanted to have a break and retest of these pivots, I think was what I called, something in that order. We certainly got the break of the daily pivot. Would have loved to have seen it come down to the weekly and give us something to trade. Again, that was on Friday, and I wasn't anywhere near the place, so nothing there for me to do. Euro Swissy, we're waiting on that now. This is this week's trading that we're looking at. Actually, dollar Swissy is what we're looking for. Yeah, we were looking for the pullback, hasn't happened. Euro Swissy, perfect position here now. This is a break or false scenario. At the moment, that's the weekly chart. Looks like a big breakout, and that could well be the case. But as per our system, we'll wait and see what happens. If we get a pullback to here, it becomes interesting. But if we come back underneath here, in particular underneath the pivots, and then retest that area, we'll be going short fairly swiftly. Swissy yen, we're looking to trade this short, but again, we wanted a bigger pullback than what we've got and something to trade with. It looks, for all intents and purposes, as though this has done what I was probably looking for, but up here, and has hit the daily pivot and looks now to be challenging that low, which of course was a gap down this morning on that particular currency. The crows seem to be singing weak Swissy, and I think we're probably seeing that across the board. Pound Aussie, monthly pivot, got to have a pullback. But then I'm going to join you, Ash. I think I'm now a confirmed bear pound Aussie, but I've got to see it back to here before I can enter it. So we'll see what happens. So as I said, poor start to the week last week, but we finished with a pretty good flurry. So redeemed ourselves fairly well on my side of things.
Well done, mate.
How are you looking?
Pretty good, mate. Well. Firstly, hello, Lewis and Sufar. Sorry. I am. Well, do you know, mate? I opened up the charts over the weekend and had a look, and I thought not a lot to trade technically this week. It's going to be maybe a difficult week to find really clean entries. You know, and now obviously when you look at the charts before the market opens up, then you really are getting a picture for the whole week rather than just day over day over day, because things can change day over day over day. But there was nothing clean that I thought, well, actually, you know, you could look for some entries in here. There are a few things you can look for sure, but there was nothing really, really clean that looked like it was going to be a huge trend. But then when we start to look at the data now, firstly, just to get to your question, Lewis, about silver. Silver still may have room to drop further. What's my thought? Well, I'm starting to build positions in both gold and silver to the upside. I've been trying to sort of take a bite out of gold for a while, but I've just got it in here. Just got it in down here at the minute. I've just started like trying to build the position really with gold. But I am gonna. I've got another one down. What's that, mate? Sorry.
Are we seeing your charts?
Oh, sorry, you're not. You're not. Let me do that. Where are we at? There we go. Sorry, I'm getting Zoom. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So I've bought down here. Just started to buy a position last week in gold, but I've got some more. I've got another order down here. In fact, let me run through some of the ones that I've got orders in right now. So I've got gold, silver. I have tried to take as well, but I'm struggling somewhat to try and get into it with silver. I've got a position here which is just around about that monthly pivot. I hope it does drop down. You know, if it can drop down one more time, then actually getting that camera there. that might be better. I'm gonna try and build into a position with silver around about on the monthly pivot, exactly where you should have taken profit, Jeff. That's exactly where I want to start getting in. And I can't remember when I put that order in. I was trying to talk to my broker to say, why haven't you put me into the trade? But I might have been a bit late on the order. I'm not sure, but silver I want. Now, the other one I quite like is the Russell 2000. I'm not sure if everybody's got the opportunity to trade the Russell 2000, but if you do have, then this looks to me like the best when it comes down to the US markets, and it's going to be quite high in this position here. So looking at around about 2165, I think that's on the futures. No, that's on the straight. So Russell 2000 I'm looking to build into, and also some oil as well. So so there's a few that I really like. Oil down at 53.70 by the looks of things. 53.50 is where I'd like to start purchasing some longs with oil. The market looks a bit weak. When I looked at the VIX now is looking like it's going to be popping higher. In my opinion, when we look at this VIX, it's managed to hold here. There's a few things extra that I will bring to the conversation in a minute. So Jira, the Russell is different from the Dow and the S&P because it's more of the smaller cap names. So because we are in a growth phase, and this is the different times that different markets start to kind of run their race. So what tends to happen with a bull market is that tech will tend to lead the charge, and we've seen tech going and going and going, which is the Nasdaq, and then they'll tend to pass the baton. So if you think about it, rather than thinking of tech, think about it as growth, and then you think about it as value. So what tends to lead the charge is the growth stocks, because if what comes down, if the growth stocks are the ones that really kind of outperform, generally speaking, and they are names like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Tesla. We've seen these names do really, really well of late. And those things will tend to lead the charge out of a recession. And the reason for that is that all of a sudden they become relatively inexpensive to buy. It's the one time that you can actually get a bargain on those things, and they will then just take off to the upside, which we've seen with some of those names in the Nasdaq and in the S&P. The Dow, I'm kind of less interested. So let's go to the two extreme levels. So we're looking at Nasdaq for those growth stocks, and then we're looking at the Russell 2000 for the value names. So they will be some of those kind of smaller companies. And just in the same way, that the old phrase is that all boats rise in a rising tide. Is that right, Jeff? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, mate.
So what will then tend to happen is that the smaller names will also rise because everything's rising, but those smaller names have now got further to run because the growth stocks have already kind of hit their peak-ish levels. They haven't got so much growth to go, and the time to get those growth stocks is in the early part of a change in market sentiment. So it's growth stocks, and then you're looking at the value stocks, and the value stocks that's where the value stocks sit in the Russell 2000. So that's why we're now looking at the Russell, because the growth stocks have kind of they've done their thing now. So now we're looking at the Russell, and it's case in point, if you like, because if you look at the Russell. In fact, let's look at the Nasdaq first. We've seen the Nasdaq really start to tear to the upside. So if we mark off the year, from where the Nasdaq started to go right the way up until the start of this year, on the weekly, here we go. Sort of there. That's sort of the end of the run. So from the bottom really to the top, we're looking at 6,000. So that's up 50%. Sorry, that's up 100% from its lows, the Nasdaq. Now this year we started at 12.9. We could call it 13 to make it easy. We're up around about 5%. So we've had a 5% gain really with the Nasdaq so far this year. Now if we flip now to the Russell, where are you, Russell? Here we go. Let me flip now to the Russell. Now the Russell also did very well. 1,000 got itself up to just under the 2,000, but it did pretty well. You know, it did almost as well as the Nasdaq. But look what's really happened. It's this year that's the most interesting. It's up more like 20%, I think, with the Russell. Is that right? No, maybe 10%. Russell's up about 10%. So it's outperformed the Nasdaq by about 5% so far this year. So this will really start to go now. So now I'm interested in picking up the Russell. So I want it here. I still think that there's further to go in this run. Yes, we're going to get a pullback, and I think that you know, a healthy pullback would be great, but we can probably protect our position in a pullback with the VIX or with gold and silver, which is why I'm quite interested in picking up things with gold and silver. So so gold and silver is on the cards. The VIX is definitely also on the cards as well, and we'll talk about some of the reasons why in a moment. But the VIX is starting to look like a bottoming pattern down here. And that's on the weekly. So you look now on the dailies. So far, it's having a pretty good day. We have to really look at what happened last week. But as I said before, Lloyd and I were talking about this, and we were kind of saying that it needs to get above this level. Look at that, Jeff. Is that a slingshot entry or what?
Looks pretty good. Yeah,
it looks pretty good, right? I mean, wouldn't you be entering above this bar here at 26.57-ish?
No.
That's what I said.
And the reason is all of those wicks to the left.
Yeah,
I couldn't take any profit before I hit those highs.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, looking at these wicks to the left, actually, I wonder whether if we come down a time frame, they give us a little trend line. And it looks like they might. Yes, they do. Look at that, mate. We're right on top of it. I mean, that now does this not look better?
If you pull back off it, now it looks better. Yeah.
Yeah. So the VIX looks good. If VIX breaks through this level, when we're right on top of it, VIX breaks through this level, it's starting to look like a bit of volatility coming into the US market. But okay, small facts, but I can't find Russell 2000. Okay, you might not be able to get Russell 2000. That's yeah, and this is the limitations of MT4, isn't it? It can get really frustrating trading on MT4. You know, it's well worth having MT4, but for the charting, really. But I think that, but you know, you could look at other brokers as well if you want to kind of get a broader opportunity for things that you want to trade. I mean, I need that because I look at shares quite a lot, so I need something else. But I do still trade on MT4 as well, on these brokers as well. But fortunately, this one does have the Russell. It's still got its limitations, but it does have the Russell. Now.
I just opened the Trading View account myself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because of the limitations. Yeah.
Yeah. Trading View is a great way to do it as well. Yeah. The three main US markets look pretty weak lately, meaning the VIX should have more upside. It should. It's not really about weakness, though. It's not really about because, you know, if you look at it, this has really been, if you look at what's happened in the last few days, the Russell's been down 1, 2, 3 days of downside, if you like. And if you go to the, let's go to the NASDAQ, US tech here, it's been pretty much the same, 3 days of downside. So it's not the VIX isn't indicating downside. It just indicates volatility. It just means that the market, that the opportunity is probably going to be, there's probably going to be some day trading opportunities. That's what it's really suggesting when the NASDAQ, when the VIX pops to the upside. Now the Ftse, I've been looking at the Ftse, and I haven't had an opportunity to trade this yet, but I would like it to be. I'd like it to be. You don't want the bottom pit here. Hold on. On the weekly pivot. I'd like this to pop up to the weekly pivot. This is an obvious area for some downside, and actually it's already down almost 1% on the day, the Ftse. But I like it up to the weekly pivot before I went short. And the reason for that, I think there's more confluence there. There's obviously some weakness, and the fact that the market is trending to the downside off lesser levels, if you like, shows how weak this market is, and we are expecting further downside. There's no two ways about that. Hold on a minute. Adrian's iPhone, that sounds a bit dodgy. Is that dodgy, Jeff? Or is that all right?
What's on Adrian's iPhone?
Somebody's looking to come into the room on Adrian's iPhone.
Oh,
Adrian, no offense to you, buddy, but we had some trolls in not that long ago, and I don't know whether that's okay or not. Could you maybe send us a message? How could he send us a message? Maybe on YouTube. Maybe send us a message on YouTube just to kind of confirm who you are. Just give us just a heads up, just to say I am not a troll. That will do us, I think.
And 2 names is good.
2 names is better. Yeah, this is the thing. So anyway, we have got a Ftse which looks weak, but it looks like the wrong area to trade it. Yes, you could have made a quick blast out of that, and actually a decent blast as well. Anything that is near the 1% mark is a really good trade. But it looked quiet, mate. And now, anyway, let's get to other things because the pound, I think, is going to be possibly the best trade we can look for the week. And I think selling the pound off could be wise here. Now, we talked about the pound Aussie, but I still think this pound yen is an opportunity. The question is where it starts to become interesting. And I think it's got to get through this low here. And I'm going to call it the low rather than the daily pivot. The daily pivot might end up being a bounce point, but I think if it closes below this trend line on the hourly chart, I think the pound starts to look like an interesting short from these upper levels. We've just had a bit of a spat with the EU about shellfish. So the EU are banning shellfish from the United Kingdom, and it looks like there's going to be some retaliation coming in. And that might be enough to weaken it. There's no question that the data points from the UK have actually been pretty solid on the whole. They've been pretty solid, and the vaccine rollout is really helping things out. But it's quite toppy in this area. And
yeah, I think a lot of that's in the price, isn't it? Really?
Exactly. And when things are in the price like that, it doesn't take too much just to topple it over a little bit. And I wonder whether a little spat between the EU and the United Kingdom might be enough to topple it. So I'm looking for the pound yen potentially for the week as a possible trade for the week. Which would lead us really, looking for a possible head and shoulders pattern. I think would be where I'd like to trade it. I don't think it's going to necessarily break down to a downtrend, but I do quite like it for a possible head and shoulders. And when I look at that, I think that this here could be the left shoulder kind of area. There's our neckline there. I wonder whether we are on the head here, and it comes down, and then we start to see that possibly. Then it would become a lot more interesting for a genuine trade lower. But I wonder whether we might be getting just a head situation here, and we can trade it down to this neckline. So I'm looking at the pound yen as a possible short, mate, and the pound generally I'm looking as a potential short. The yen, actually, and this is what I wanted to talk about a little bit, is the seasonality and the COT data. So firstly, let's just have a quick look at gold, because gold has still got potentially another month of downside before we start to slowly grind up. However, we didn't get the run to the upside with gold. So this might all be slightly out of sync and slightly out of kilt. And because gold has hit a possible area, I'm quite keen to start picking it up. So I'm starting to build into gold positions. So gold to the upside, I think, might be wise. But look at this with the pound. And this is where it starts to become a bit more interesting. When we look at the corroboration, if you like, between the pound and between the COT data and the seasonality. This is the index, which is suggesting that the sellers are kind of coming into play. But look at this, popping to the upside where the buyers are popping to the downside. That might be a decent enough timing source there. Now that has been there for a couple of weeks, and it didn't happen last week. But I wonder whether we might be hitting it. And then back to the seasonality. Look at this with the seasonality. Hit February all the way down. The selling comes in all the way down to around about March, April time for the pound. So you could look at it against the dollar. But the yen, I think the yen's really interesting, and I'll show you why I think the yen's interesting. Firstly, the move to the downside doesn't look anywhere near as magnified. You see this here. It doesn't look anywhere near as aggressive. This is the weighted average, and it's quite choppy, if you like, before we maybe even start to climb around about March time. And the February kind of number starts to dissipate towards the end of February as well, over the longer term average. So that's the first thing with the yen. But the second thing that I find really interesting with the yen is that when we look at the COT report, these commercials, the index has popped up a little bit. The selling is subsiding. Okay, the buying hasn't gone anywhere, but the selling is subsiding. Now, that doesn't suggest a big turnaround and all of a sudden we start trading long by any stretch. But it does suggest that the yen may be needed as a possibly tighten those stops up on those shorts in the yen. And that might trigger some opportunities in the opposite direction. Now we're looking at week on week really there. So if the yen was to drift down a little bit lower against the pound, that would still be in an uptrend, pound yen week on week. But I wonder whether we might just see a week of downside, maybe just a week of downside before this trend it doesn't have to resume until 141 really. And we're at 148, so it's got a long way to go to the downside before it needs to flip up again. So I think a potential pound yen short could be on, mate. And one of the reasons I like the pound yen is that I think it's got more room than some of the others. The pound Aussie, as you know, I've liked this one, but does it have the same room to the downside? Maybe not. It's got this kind of level it's through here as well, so it might just kind of carve its way out down here. It could have a little bit lower. Certainly, fundamentally, the Aussie's still the best, in the game, and the dollar as well. To be fair, I also think the dollar has started to look fundamentally pretty solid now. Had some decent numbers last week, so I do quite like
starting to get into it today as well, by the look of it.
Yeah. Well,
it's only little bits, but it's the strongest one on the board today.
Yes, looking okay, isn't it? Which is interesting you say that, because with the dollar being the strongest one on the board today, popping to the upside here, we can see with the dollar index. But again, let's go back to gold, because gold is also popping to the upside. So at this stage, gold even outperforms the dollar. So looking pretty good with that. So that's pretty much my thoughts of the day and the week, mate. I certainly will be looking at shorts in stock markets, but at the right price. So
does that mean you're reading the markets? It's hard to read market sentiment at the moment. I can't get a hold of it. Whether we're risk on, risk off.
Yeah,
the charts are telling me that we're risk on, but yen, Swissy are weak at the moment. Swissy, to a large degree, everyone's singing the downside for the Swissy. I wonder what turns that around.
Well, do you know, mate? I'm actually risk on, but not at this price. I think that this market could do with coming down a bit. It's been a strange move down in many respects, because people have been calling it, but it's not. It just feels like a bit of a kind of retracement, kind of buying opportunity scenario. It's not. There's no real fear out there with this, and you can see that with the VIX. The VIX hasn't really. If we're thinking about this as the fear index, the VIX looks pretty benign really down here. It hasn't really started to shoot higher by any stretch, but it looks like it's just starting to give a little bit of fear now. Coming into play, and I suspect we probably will get maybe 1 or 2 days of decent, a decent flurry. But we've had one. I think last Thursday was a decent day where things started to come down, and there was an opportunity with the Ftse, which I didn't take, but we were looking at it just before. I remember saying that this is a great point to go short, and as I say, I didn't take it because I'm finding it difficult to know why. But there's, maybe the reason to go wide is just a bit of profit taking, and that's how it feels like, a bit of profit taking and just waiting for the next phase to go long again. But that's sort of the way I'm playing it. I'm just allowing the market to come down a little bit before I jump in on the long side. I'm really looking at the longs rather than trying to trade this and play the shorts at the minute. Maybe building some positions in say gold and oil I'd like, but oil a little bit lower as well. And silver.
Yep. So basically you're taking a positional view rather than looking at the charts. And I was the same as you when I looked at the charts yesterday, because I have to do 4 picks for the Sunday show.
Yeah.
Charts to look at. And gee, it was a struggle, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Nothing was lining up the way I normally like it to line up. And that's, as you know, I'm looking for reversals basically. And nothing there that really filled me with confidence.
No, I'm with you. And you know what? I had to question. I had to pose myself a question yesterday. Is that, do I actually just not trade it this week? Because will I be forcing the issue, or should I just look for things that are really short term and not worry about the positions? But then you start to kind of change your approach. Stepping into the market, because there was definitely an opportunity straight away with the Ftse today, but I just sort of thought, well, that does. I'm not looking at the daily pivot. I'm looking at the weekly pivot for it if I was going to take the short. So I stop kind of trying to trade the best possible price, and I start to trade the I suppose short term, just the short term picture, because the long term picture is just. It just looks a bit. It looks a bit choppy. Looks like it could be a bit of a sideways price action week from what I saw at the start. From what I saw from my analysis at the start of the week. So maybe ranges. I don't know, mate. But aside from the pound, I'm not really kind of. I'm not in the hot seat, sat here, kind of thinking, right, let's see if there's something to trade. I'm just kind of like going, look, if a really good opportunity comes up, then I'll trade it. But from what I saw at the start of the week, I don't think that opportunity is there.
Yep. Well,
it makes it a long week.
It does, and it's going to be that for me as well, because the 4 that I did isolate are now
tiring than this homeschooling thing. It's just, it's a tiring thing. So no, I didn't, and I might get. He said it was right to look at the recordings, which I'll do instead, and check it out.
Yes, I'll do that also. I didn't watch it because flat out, man.
Yeah.
Just busy.
Yeah, it's a strange part of the year actually over here. I mean, we actually, the other thing is when the weather kind of turns, you just want to be able to get out and about. But it's a strange part of the year now, because the joy is almost starting to come back now, Jeff. We look like we are kind of out of winter. We look like we're just easing ourselves out of winter. So everybody's getting a little bit happier.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I might even start swimming in the sea again. I don't know. I was going to test it out over the weekend. It might still be a bit cold, but it was brain freezingly cold about 3 weeks ago. But if it just comes off that a little bit, then I might brave it. I might see if I can do it this year. Just see if I can swim all year round. I don't know.
There's a club here in Sydney called Bondi Icebergs.
Oh yeah.
And at the start of winter, each year at the start of winter, they fill it's an ocean pool. It's fed by the ocean.
Yeah.
And they fill it up with ice blocks.
Oh.
And go swimming. So that would get that almost down to the temperature that you're talking about.
Yeah. Do you know what, mate? It's meant to be very good for you.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's meant to be very good.
You don't have a heart attack. Yeah.
No, and we got this because the vaccine, the big vaccine questions keeps coming in as well. Like all my friends have taken, in fact, not all of them, but some of my friends have taken the vaccine and they've got really sick. They got really, really like knocked them for 6.
Oh.
And I said to one of them, I said, you're not really selling it to me. And he said, oh, I'm not trying to sell it to you. He said, but I want to keep myself safe and all this sort of stuff. And And I was just like, it's not a cure, this thing. And obviously one of them came back and said, no, it's to stop you needing a cure. That's what a vaccine is. I was like, all right, touche. But one of them said it is a cure for lockdown. And I thought that's the key, actually. It's the fact that we might actually get some normality, but I'm still not keen on it. I'm not a no. The dollar has been crying out on COT data for quite a while, and it hasn't really gone anywhere. And I have to say, the numbers start to look okay with the dollar. You'd have to be probably on the side of being a dollar bull right now. I would have thought, being
That's
a
tough
dollar.
for me. It's really tough.
Yeah,
for me.
I mean, there's still potentially the death of the dollar altogether. Or, we just don't know what's happening. There's this great reset that a lot of people keep talking about, but and that may be coming. But for right now, yeah, that looks like a fairly good level there. That looks like a bit of a channel. It looks like we're leveling off. Let's have a look at this on a longer term time frame, but there's a level down there. Let's see this on a monthly.
And on some of the vaccines interfere with your DNA. Man,
I know.
There'll be that many criminals lining up to take that. It won't be funny.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what the argument that sort of bothers me a bit, that the vaccine messes with your DNA, but the sun messes with your DNA. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that lots of things mess with your DNA. So I'm not sure whether that kind of holds that much water with me at this stage. It's a little bit of that. It's more the fact that if I'm healthy, why do I want to put something in my body that I don't need?
Yeah, well, like you, mate, I can't even enter into that because I'm guilty.
You're guilty of what?
Putting stuff into my body that I don't
need. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
White wine, red wine, whiskey.
Yeah, black wine, yellow wine. The yellow wine you want to avoid a bit. So we got.
That's supposed to be good for you, actually.
So Sting tells us, yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely a level of support here. I mean, this is a monthly chart, so this is definitely a level of support. And just going on the monthly chart, then it looks to me like the dollar Sing has got at least 200 pips to the upside to go. It looks that way. It looks like a bounce point. If we then start to look at the shorter term timeframes to see if there's a suggestion of turnaround, looks like a double bottom. But bouncing, triple bottom on the dailies as well. I'm sure if we start to look now, the question is, do we have a higher low on a short-term time frame? Not yet, but looks like on this hourly, and this would be what I'd want to see. Now you've got the kind of the bigger picture, which looks like support on the monthly. You got double bottom on the weekly. Double bottom down on the weekly, you got a triple bottom down here on the daily. Now I'd want to see something that would suggest a higher low on a shorter term time frame, and it appears that this would give it, And obviously, I always look for the inverted head and shoulders because it's a really good indication that the market could be turning around the head and shoulders pattern, just because it gives you that genuine higher low. But could be a left shoulder here, could be a head down here. So that would mean popping up, coming back, and if it popped back into this area, then that might well give you that that right shoulder. It looks early, Jira, to me. It looks a shade early to trade, but I think that this could be showing that it's turning around. So I'd be wanting to look for opportunities long in the dollar Sing. Even though I think the Singapore dollar is a pretty good currency, on the whole, in the long term, I think that the Singapore dollar is a pretty good currency. I'd want to trade the dollar Sing at this stage. I think I'd want to take a long in it. I think just about anything long in the dollar, I think looks pretty good right now, apart from gold and silver.
With that chart,
yeah.
If you go to the monthly chart,
yeah.
The thing that I was looking at with the monthly chart, and why I went short last week, was that we'd only had a second phase since we turned around, right? So we've had one selling phase, two selling phase, and gone straight into that sort of consolidation where your cursor was just then. So the consolidation that we saw
Oh, this.
on the turn,
Yeah.
is kind of where we're at now. And if you look at the chart that, or the sell-off that took us down to that consolidation area,
Yeah.
well, I suppose there were three phases in that one: little buying bar, two, little retracement, three. So I was looking for the third leg down. That's why I wanted to trade it short. But then I have a good look at previous price action on that chart, and I don't see too many three phases or third phases. But maybe that's just the upside. I don't know.
Yeah, do you know, mate? Look, drawing this trend line makes this even more attractive for upsides, to my mind.
Yeah, I'm just not sure where the level is. That trend line makes it compelling in that area. I agree with you, but the horizontal level is a little bit unclear to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it could be a little bit lower, couldn't it? It could be down here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that it almost looks cleaner there, which would suggest that
we look for a false break in that area.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those that one thing I would say is that it'd be difficult to know where your stop goes, but that looks like a buy order to me.
Yep.
That looks like a pretty good point for a buy order, but you'd want to go in really light and make sure that because I think if you buy it down here, the chances that it comes back, if it pops through your level, the chances that it comes back and tests that level are pretty high. So so at that point you say, okay, well, I mean, maybe I'm out. Maybe if it doesn't bounce here, then I'm out. But that would be a pretty good. That looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to wonder whether I'm going to put that order in myself because I quite like that. 103, 13. Yeah, I probably will buy this up. I won't do it now because it's a monthly chart, so we've got ages. But I might well buy that price. 1.3, 1.31, 1.31 looks like a nice round number as well. But that looks like a decent opportunity for a buy side. The other way to play it, as I said, is wait for the hourly to start picking to the upside and then go through. Let's see what we got with pivots and stuff as well. Yeah, so the monthly pivot that looks even better now. You know, we've had the potential bounce off the monthly time frames. Now you've got this this monthly pivot. So the monthly pivot getting taken out with this trend line, that's going to look pretty good, isn't it? And then you've got the horizontal level. You'll have the monthly pivot all in this confluence area. So yeah, this pops up in the next over the next week, pops back again. The monthly pivot looks like a decent place to put a buy order. So I quite like that. I do quite like that. Singapore I find interesting because of what's happened in Hong Kong and whether does Singapore become the new financial hub? I don't know whether it's big enough. Is it? Could it rival Hong Kong, or is it more that it doesn't become the new financial hub, but it becomes another financial hub in Asia, another part of Asia that is a financial hub? I mean, Asia's such a massive economy now, so a massive region now. There's Hong Kong as the gateway into Asia, but I wonder whether Singapore also starts to share some of those spoils, and that would suggest the Singapore dollar does become, a pretty attractive prospect in the longer term.
They don't like it down there, though, do they? Don't they control it?
What is it pegged?
No, I'm not saying that. They were talking, and who talks about that? Good God. There are two or three people within the organisation talk about. Lloyd's one, I think, and Lexi's another. Certainly, Lexi talks about the Singapore dollar won't be allowed to be overvalued, and there is a level that they watch all the time, and I just don't know where that is. So that might be interesting. That might put a little bit more to your buy on dollar Sing.
Mm.
That might, that might put a little bit
the
more
government
sting. So It may have reached that level.
Yeah, but the Swiss manages this, but the Swiss manages the Swissy as well. What do you mean by that, Jura? Because the I mean, I don't know what the situation is in Singapore. Is there not is the central bank basically part of the government? Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
I don't know the full story, mate. I just know
Okay.
that as soon as they hit a level, somebody dumps it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, this is the thing. I guess it's down to how aggressive that is, because they all do a bit of that, don't they?
They try, yes.
Yeah, because when you're saying about the Swissy, Jira, the Swiss National Bank control, you know, some of the decision with the currency, but it's not part of the government. And the Swiss National Bank, yes, they don't want the Swiss franc to get too inflated, and yeah, they'll try and control it, but sometimes they just can't do it. But I guess, well, they probably can if they got really aggressive. But I guess in fairness of markets, they've got to be careful. Maybe they're a bit more aggressive in Singapore. I don't know. Probably would be. But anyway, you know, just where we are right now, the dollar certainly to me looks like a buy, and this looks like a pretty good setup. So dollar Sing, I hadn't considered dollar Sing actually when I started my analysis at the start of the week, but it looks like a potential opportunity. To my mind, pretty quiet though. I have to say that the market is generally pretty quiet. What's going on with the Ftse? Yeah, down to that monthly pivot. That's not quiet. That's been you know, almost a 1% drop to the downside. Buying opportunity here really with the Ftse. Let's just have a look where that leads us. Let's bring that in clean. Yes, right. I look at that on the Ftse, buying opportunity here with a Ftse, and at this stage, I don't see why that isn't a buy. My issue with buying it here is that I think it comes a bit lower, and I think there's a better buying opportunity, just because of a bit of a flush out. But it, you know, on a short term basis, I think it's okay. But the problem you got now is you would be trading a short term counter trend trade, and really you want the short term to be to the downside, which would be probably on the weekly pivot, in my opinion, still. So Ftse easing down. The Nasdaq is having a terrible time actually from the highs. The VIX still looking pretty solid and still looking pretty strong. Looks like the VIX is through. This is suggesting the market is probably going to give quite a few short-term opportunities, and they look like, you know, it is the fear index. So if the fear index is picking up sufficiently, I think we could see a pretty good downdraft with some of these markets. S&P also so far it is struggling. Where's the Russell? No, I'm not sure whether the Russell is still quite a way away from my initial position. Now, this position may well have to move if that VIX continues to pop lower, pop higher, and it's really aggressive and it's too fast. I don't want this to come down here too fast, but I will happily move it if I need to. But it looks like there could be a level along here, so that looks like it will meet anyway, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, picking it up there, probably picking it up lower. So I'm just going to continue to pick this one up as we go. I think trying to call the bottom is going to be hard, and I don't anticipate being able to do that with any particular skill. But if you remember the other day, I was saying about gold that I wanted a double bottom on gold, and that's really kind of what started being produced, except for it ended up being the inverted head and shoulders really on the double as well, and you had a little trend line kind of going along here. So gold looks pretty good to me, mate. I don't know about silver. I think silver, if I could get it a little bit lower, I'd be quite pleased on silver. Just down here, I'd really like to pick this one up, but a little bit more fear does suggest that gold could pop higher as well. So gold is starting to look fairly good, I think.
All right, bud. Look, I haven't got much really that I haven't already discussed. I don't see any new positions to take. I don't see any new management that needs to be done at the moment. It's just a matter of wait till the market does something.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what you're seeing. Very little happening.
Yeah. I'm just going to have a quick last look at the Ftse. Goodness me. Yeah, I mean the Ftse did actually. God, should have been on top of that today.
Actually, one. Sorry, you concentrate on that, and I'll ask you a question in a minute.
Yeah, no, you can ask me, mate. I was just going to say that the Ftse did actually give a pretty good barometer this morning, which I think because I was waiting for that weekly pivot, I ignored it. But yeah, Ftse does look weak. Unilever, the biggest company in the Ftse 100, down almost 2% this morning. So that usually would drag it down. Diageo down at over 2% this morning. Yeah, not a good day. Not a good day with the with some of those bigger names on the Ftse today. And don't expect too much upside. So not looking at buying opportunities at this stage, mate. The market doesn't appear that it's going to turn around just yet.
Yeah, look, I was just having a look at all the dollar crosses, and interestingly, the pound hasn't budged since what hit the daily pivot an hour or so ago. But everything, well, not everything else. The CAD is tumbling against the dollar. The Swissie's absolutely crashing against the dollar. Yeah, pound might still be strong, mate. I'm not committed to anything on the pound at the moment. I'm just waiting to see what happens. I think if the more these things run away, Aussie dollar is a little bit controlled there, but we've got an untested daily pivot, weekly pivot combination below it. So that's going to tend to suggest that we've got maybe a little bit more downside today. I think that's probably on the cards. It may even come down to the breakout area. It may do that, but to me, that's still a buy. I just don't know about the timing. The further the dollar goes today, in particular, if it closes above all the pivots that we're looking at. I was just looking at dollar Swissy there a minute ago, and it's already gone to DR3 beyond. Well, it peaked above DR3. I couldn't possibly trade that long, and that's going to be the case with a lot of these things. Dollar CAD's a bit different. It's rallied up to the pivots and now held at that level. I think if that were to break those pivots and then retest them, then dollar CAD maybe does look strong. But yeah, I can't convince myself that I want to trade the dollar.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? That after seeing some of these moves, if you're not on board some of these moves, it's just better just to take a break.
Yeah, that's
you're going
what
to make a mistake. Yeah,
they're either too far gone or they've got to go. They've got to come back too far to get into the market. So yeah, I'm happy not to trade at all this evening. I'll wait till tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, with you on that. With you on that for sure.
And Lewis, Chinese white wine. I've got some Chinese white wine vinegar. Is that the same? Probably not.
Have a good session on that tonight, mate, with Alison.
No, I'll be okay.
Love will be in the air.
I'll be okay. I think we might have overindulged yesterday. We had some visitors, so I'm unlikely to be going anywhere near anything tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I know. I was only taking the piss, mate. Just like red wine vinegar, exactly. Just a different color, mate. That's all. And right, some of the red wine that I've drunk over the years has tasted exactly like vinegar. I can tell you. Maybe I should have drunk it before it was 10 years old. Right, buddy. Take care, and we'll catch up tomorrow. I'm not going to hang around.
Catch up tomorrow. Simon's going to pop in, so looking forward to having a quick chat with him. And obviously we've got Shukri as well, so we'll get a little synopsis of what the weekend was, because he had the Saturday event, so we'll get a little synopsis of that. And obviously, Simon reaching those milestones are just just super cool.
Yeah,
you know?
unreal.
And
Unreal.
as I said to him, I just there's some people that you want it to happen to, you know what I mean? And Simon's just one of those people.
100%.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll speak to him tomorrow and speak to Shukri, and of course I will speak to you tomorrow, mate, and everybody else. Thanks so much for being involved, and I will see you all tomorrow after another frustrating few hours of homeschooling. See if I'm still alive.
Enjoy that. I'm going to take the cap off some white wine vinegar and see what it smells like.
All right,
Have a good
guys.
day,
See you
everyone.
later.
Bye-bye for now.